Good morning, everybody, and today we are going to play with the RX100 with the Rode Wireless Me. Started doing some testing last night. Right now I have my preamp on the RX100 set at 13. Audio was a little low, but I'd rather it low and be able to bring it up than peaking on occasion. But I am getting audio, looks like on both sides with this, so gonna see how this does today. Of course, we got zoom capabilities. It's gonna be a little loud. Well, no, it won't be because I'm not on internal mics. You won't even hear it. Oh, it is a beautiful morning. Unfortunately, in my opinion, yesterday, the S23 failed miserably. I don't know. I can't see the screen now. The only problem is polarization with this screen is garbage. It did adjust though. You can see the sun. Hey, 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 no barks. You gonna lay in the sun, little man, huh? You gonna lay in the sun? Yeah? I really need the screen to start off with here because it's been so long since I've used this that focus cancel, spot focus. I'm not sure if that's on the right thing. Doesn't look like I have any background blur. I am running the picture profile 10 HDR, but I cut down the saturation last night, so I'm kind of curious. I might have to do a little bit with that. I'd rather do that in post, honestly. That way, you know, I know it's controlled better. And with the Bluetooth grip, you can kind of get yourself out there a little ways. Stabilization is going to be a fun one, but I didn't have stabilization on last night, or yesterday on the S23, and I do apologize, but the whole color situation was just ridiculous. I may eventually do another test with HDR10 off. The iPhone or the Final Cut did actually try to correct it automatically now, which is a nice little feature. But we're gonna give this guy a little play today and see. Finish a cup of coffee here right now. Just letting these guys kind of roam the backyard, and then I'm gonna take them for. I don't know what we're gonna do. All right. So anybody wondering how I managed to get the Rode connected for what I have? I'm not so secure on that guy right there, but I do have the other one. But we're gonna give this a try. So I just have one of the Rode duals. I have a cold shoe mount with threads into the camera, and I am on the shooting grip. So that's how I'm doing this today. A little windy, sorry. Yeah, polarized lenses ain't gonna work too great with this today, that's for sure. But it is a pretty morning. This is the way the days have been lately. Just absolutely crystal clear. Last night there was really no reason to shoot the sky because it was just completely cloudless and the sun doesn't reflect off anything, giving those pretty colors. What do you think, Priya? Can go for a long walk? Hey, brown eyes. Priya. Ignoring me, little jerk. It's a nice thing about being on the road, you won't hear the motors running for the zoom. All right, come on, let's go. I can just kind of barely see myself here, so I know I'm in frame. This camera's a little different because, like, yeah, I do have it right straight at me. Crap, I gotta stuff all his lens. It looks like dust might be behind the lens. That's not good. I had a hell of a time last night because I had the Ulanzi mount on there still for the, what was that, the 18mm lens? And the camera could not open. It actually sat so long that the glue attached to the next part of the lens and wouldn't open. But I finally got it. Had to charge batteries because this one was actually charged for the most part. I think it sat on there for like 15 minutes and then it shut off. Whereas the other one was almost dead when I was doing testing. So, oh man. And I am using one of my Samsung 256 gig cards. So we have plenty of space. I think 4 hours and 43 minutes of video that I can record. Don't think we'll be doing that though. So, but yeah, I just kind of want to go back through since this is the last month of year 9 and with potential last month overall. So we don't know. I haven't decided yet. So the other thing I want to do is when I get my GoPros back from Mike, I am going to do a GoPro vlog. Hopefully the Volta works so I can use that. But I also, next time Mike and I hang out, I'm going to bring an extra memory card and use the side-by-side rig and do, I want to see the 11 and the 10 side-by-side. If I can, if we get someplace where there's water and I can do side-by-side underwater with them, I want to do that because I want to see if the HDR really matters, just for my own personal knowledge. I think he's in the shot. Yep, he is. I think this is going to do better than the S23 did yesterday. I'm really hopeful. It might be a little hazy at first, but that's something I know how to correct. Last night's, I couldn't figure out how to correct it because everything I did made something else worse. And I was very frustrated. Of course, then I was mad at myself for not turning stabilization on. So that's not a fair thing. I know the S23 is a stable phone camera, but yeah, the color correction on that thing was just off the chart. I know there was one point I didn't have it set in auto, but once I did, it still didn't work right. Just to give you an idea when you go into the sky. As for stabilization, I know this thing's not going to be as good as the iPhone, but I think a nice leisure walk, as long as you're not running with it, it's usually not the worst, but it's not my preferred. It seems like with this arm I can get out just a lot further than I can with this one. I don't know why that seems, but maybe it's just the way I hold it. So yeah, I don't know, give it a little test. I just kind of want to go through some old cameras and stuff, and for those that are new to watching and wonder why I film primarily with my iPhone 14 Pro Max and why I'm interested in the 15 and I don't like Samsung. The Sony's not a horrible camera, but like I said when we watched that video back the other day, has the same sensor as this camera, but the clarity level, because they're cropping it, it wasn't like up close stuff. That stuff was nice and sharp, but like when you looked at the trees, not like filming me, but in like an open shot, it was just a blob to me. So let's just check detail real quick here. See how, I know macro on this thing is a pain in the butt. Oh, yeah, this is a 1-inch sensor. So we're running 4K 30 with active stabilization. I think that's the highest I can go. Thought I just saw it be. You can go 10, yep, you can go 1080. 60, but I don't like cutting down that much to get that. There he is. Hey, Mr. B, what you doing, buddy? You working this morning? You all by yourself in the last bush that remains here? What are you doing, Priya? Huh? What are you sneezing for? Don't get me wrong, I know the clarity on this thing is amazing. If they would have upgraded one more time to an 8 and actually made stabilization like good with 4K, maybe added 60 frames a second, even if it wasn't a limited thing, this could have been like an amazing camera. The crazy thing I was watching the other night, someone listed this as one of the best underwater cameras. Now I do believe they make a water cage for this camera, especially right now with the road hooked up. I have a port open. It is not water resistant. This camera is not good if it's raining outside at all. Even if I didn't have the roads hooked up, it just doesn't. I mean, the RX10 is designed for a little bit of moisture. It's got seals on the ports and stuff. This does not. Now the TX30, that one's waterproof. That's the original camera that we used quite a while, and then we switched over to phones and GoPros and all that good stuff, and finally when the iPhone got to the point of being good enough, it's been the runner since the 12, maybe even the 11. I'm not going to zoom in because I know it's going to go. Yeah. Alright, let's test out the clarity of the zoom. I do have it on, I believe it only does like 2x beyond. Unfortunately, there's puppy face. Yeah, so he's all the way back though. All the way back in his patio watching his kitty friend. Yeah, so that's where that cat lives that I filmed in the weeds the other day. That's where he lives. Did you wrap yourself up around a tree there, buddy? Gotta unwrap yourself so you can come out further. There you do. Look at you. You're a beauty popper. You are. You're gorgeous. I love huskies. There's too much fur. And they're just too big. So I did manage to find one of the pieces to the Rode magnet system. I don't know if the other piece, the magnet, is still somewhere. I think it might be stuck to the big brown shelf. I think I still have it. If not, I probably can find a magnet that'd be strong enough to hook to make this work. I did put the clip on here, and it does work this way. I didn't think it did, but if you have the magnet on the back of it, then it won't. So, no, it still would work. Yeah, it would just be on the outside of it because it just gives that little metal piece so it has something to magnetize to through your clothes. So definitely need to clean the screen and clean the lens when we get back home. I hope that's not a scratch, and I really hope that dust isn't back behind. I think I just need to get one of my Zeiss wipes on it, and or even the spray, and then it'll clean it out pretty good. Come on, Priya, come on. Quit pulling me back. What are you doing? Come on. I know, it's warm out here. And Mommy and Daddy are gonna go. We gotta get your brother his dog food at Petco. I don't think we're going anywhere else. I don't know, honestly. So, I don't know, maybe I'll take this unit with me and see. This is not necessarily how I would go out in public, but this is pretty condensed, especially in comparison to the ShiftCam. I might actually redesign that if I'm going to only use one microphone. Now, last night I did put on both microphones when I was cooking, and at least with the S23 Ultra, audio-wise, it worked amazingly well. You could hear the food sizzling, and you could hear me talking, and it was blended very nicely. That's what it was. So it is, because of the handle, pocketable with this setup. Just the handle makes a difference, obviously. And the fact that you can control it and zoom and all that stuff and have a little extra distance from yourself with that 24mm. But for me, that is super important. And actually, the Rode is actually catching it right here in my pocket to keep it pretty secure. But you don't want to have too flimsy of a pant pocket or a short pocket. So get a little iPhone in here with ProRes to give you an idea of the difference between color saturation and all that good stuff and clarity. I still think the iPhone holds up pretty damn good. The Sony might be a tad bit sharper, but I'm not 100% sure of that anymore because I don't think I've ever competed these two against each other. Honestly, I'm very impressed so far how well it's staying together. I was a little concerned. I put a lock washer between the top and bottom of the screw. Doesn't look like it's actually doing anything right now. The idea was I had to get a little height, so I had to turn that screw back so that I could get the Rode to fit in there. Camera looks like it's a little on a tilt, but not too bad. I guess to do a comparison, I should have kind of filmed both of them in the same location, but we're just across the street, so you get an idea of the greens. I'm very curious. And she got slobber over her ears. Yeah. Alright, we're going to quit using the screen because honestly I have an idea where I need to be now. Once you use the camera enough, you don't need to keep flipping the screen up and down, and honestly with my polarized glasses, I can't see it anyway. Rule of thumb, look right straight into the lens. You basically see its little pupil there, and I've been doing too much vision glasses stuff lately. Well, we just went through that whole boot camp, and really the eye is compared to the camera because the camera was designed after the eye. So... And our one new associate is actually a photographer. So maybe Mike's going to have to come down and visit, and those guys can talk shop for a little bit. She's going to school for it. Mike's already gone to school for it. So, yeah, now he's getting into videography with the GoPro, and he did a wedding a couple weeks ago, I mentioned. And he was having a fun time with editing. So it is a blast. I said, try doing it every day. He goes, nope. You know, the other thing I'm really surprised about is this is actually lighter than the ShiftCam. Of course, with that whole ball head and everything I got going on that unit, it's not quite surprising, but this is actually quite comfortable to hold. My arms aren't tiring out. So who knows? And with the way the car setup is made now, I could actually probably use this better than I could ever have before. So I can set up the roads and everything, and yeah. So the Rode, just so you know, the Rode actually, it's a cold shoe mount, but it has a 1/4 hole in the bottom of the cold shoe mount as well. That's how I managed to make this work. I'm looking at it going, And And it's a nice condensed little unit. Sony did make one for this to hold, I think, a light microphone, whatnot. But it was not something you could get separately, I don't believe. Now you may be able to find something. I know you can. They always come out with something. I mean, you can get cages from SmallRig for this thing that have cold shoe mounts on it, or at least quarter 20s that you could put their SmallRig cold shoe mounts on. But just remember, it is going to add weight. But overall, I mean, it's not a bad camera. It's actually a really good camera. I just wasn't impressed with stabilization. We'll see how it's doing today. Wish I could get the damn thing to update. I think there is an update for it. I can't make it download with my MacBook. I'm actually really impressed too with the Rode Wireless Me, how well the battery is holding up. It's barely moving. And the audio quality is actually better than I remember. I didn't realize it was a merged system. The only thing is it's not digital, and with this system, there's really no point because you don't have digital input. This only has a micro USB. And that was the other thing. I wish Sony would have upgraded to the 8. You know, would have gone to USB-C instead of micro to charge and transfer. And they just never came out with another one. Alright, Echo done. Now we're doing surplus. Let's grab a couple little things, probably some produce. For grill time. Yay! Alright, just seeing what kind of wildlife is out back here this afternoon. It is afternoon because it's like going on 2. Alright, it's 2:18. Got my little bird helper with me. My little bird helper, buddy? Yeah? There were a couple robins in the yard. He loves chasing robins because they're more ground oriented. Geez, I need to clean the cobwebs off that thing. Holy crap. They're just surrounding it. In a perfect shape, the spider went right around. That's got to be a dizzy spider. Now that's the one that makes the noise. Hope I'm not stepping in dog crap. Yeah, like we haven't filled these with any birdseed because of the bears. That one is going to be a little struggle for the bear, but I don't want him ripping my fence down to get to it either. So I haven't bothered. Alright, looks like everybody hit on us. The imagery is very clear. I'm not going to say that's not the issue. It's just I got to figure out the whole exposure thing. And honestly, going from bright light to shadows seems to be a bit of an issue too. Alright everybody, we are on side by side. Sorry about the little wivel there with the Sony. And I'll go over some of the little things when I get over to the picnic bench. But mainly I kind of want to get the flowers across the way here and hopefully capture some bees. I might even switch over on the iPhone to the Cinema P3 app to capture 60 frames per second because these bees are fast. But it's a little walking test here between the two. I have not compared the 14 to the RX100 Mark VII yet. And first time I've actually used the 10-inch bar for this. Ooh, speaking of a bee, there is one. There he is. So I'm kind of torn watching the video back this morning on clarity. So we're going to kind of get out of the sunlight because that seems to be where the Sony's having a little bit of issues. I did switch over though to, I believe, aperture priority. So I should get a blurred background now. I was not getting that this morning. So, but the screen on the iPhone is so much brighter for trying to film. Sorry, something bit me. I will have to show you guys this rig. I took a picture and sent it to Mike and blamed him for it. Told him it's all his fault. Honestly, surprisingly, this is not too heavy. I am only running the Rode Wireless Me on the Sony RX100. That'll be the audio I use. I'm not comparing audio. These ones here seem to be in pretty good shape because they're not getting burned by the sun. Fortunately, cameras are a little gapped. And the other thing I'll show you later is how the screen or the lenses are in quite a different position from each other. I feel like the Sony's kind of aiming that way a little bit. So I could bring them a little closer together, but I'd have to sit it down to do it. These ones are in good shape. Just wanted to get some color and some shade. Ooh, there was a bug there. Cool, saw it on the iPhone. Yeah, they're not going to be lined up perfectly because I do have them spaced a little bit right now. But I could actually bring the iPhone over. All right. Nice thing is I have the SmallRig cage with the SmallRig shutter button set up so I can control both equally at the same time. And it also gives me a little more stabilization. Okay, now we're getting into some pretty decent shade here. Just for my own little peace of mind. Oh, that's not a bug, that's actually a bulb in there. That's cool. There is a V over here though. Not sure I'm getting him. Trying not to fall down the embankment. Checking the response time. Not sure how aperture priority is going to handle this. More aiming with Sony. There's the iPhone. Another bug biting me. Alright, so there's what we're looking at. Got the road. Just this whole unit here, just transferred it right on over. And then with the SmallRig, which now is out of alignment, that's the problem. I had to add an extra washer in here to make that even tighten up because the threads don't go deep enough. Like I mentioned, this thing has 3 on the top, 3 on the bottom, and 2 on each end. So you have a lot of mounting points with that. I am running the SmallRig controller as well, handle grip, which gives me stabilization to do side by side. So there's what you guys look like. And I have multiple controls with the Sony for the Sony. So yeah, it's a little on the heavy side. It's not too bad though, honestly. That is crazy. It could be a lot worse, I think. So it's quite the unit. And someone left the clothes down here. That's awesome. Yeah, it's Puma. I'd have left it too. All right. So it gives you a nice little, but that's the 12-inch bar I got. What is it? Ute-bit? I don't know. I found it. It was cheap, and these cameras are getting, these phones and stuff are getting so big that an 8-inch bar, there's not enough room if you went even far end to end with my little guy. So the one thing a lot of people complain about with the Xperia 100, oh, that's way out of focus. Oh, I hope it wasn't like that the whole time. I refocused it manually. It's on spot focus. I don't understand why it's on spot focus. Is the chimes for the record and stop on the RX100 are identically, whereas the cameras, it makes 2 different sounds. Just makes a doink doink when it turns on, and it makes like this extra different chime when you're shutting it down, so that you know you've stopped recording. See if I can capture it and get really close. You hear that little beep, and it makes a multiple chime when it shuts down. The camera on the phone just makes the same beep, beep, both ends. Alright, so the downside too with the Sony is battery life. I am on 1 bar battery already. And, I mean, granted, had it going for quite a while earlier, but it feels like it's out of line again too. This mount, I still need to work on that a little bit, but yeah, batteries needs changed soon. I don't want to let it run all the way down, but get it low. All right, let's go import this, and this is going to take a little bit of time to set side by side and get the audio and everything kind of lined up between what the phone is recording, but I'm going to cut that audio once I get the timeline lined up. All right, so the other downside to the Sony, in my opinion, is getting the footage over to, I literally have to disassemble take the camera basically off this bottom mount piece here in order to get to the battery and get to the SD card and get it all set up. But you know, like I said, my battery is down to 1 little bar there, so it's that's focusing actually pretty good on the Xperia, excuse me. And we're still doing dual vision because I had a problem earlier with focus and lost a whole clip. What we got going on here is 3 pounds of fresh asparagus for the grill tonight, and some cod fillets that are potato and herb. We found them at the thrift store. Alrighty, there we go. Asparagus is on the grill. I tried to find the packs of the bigger ones, and I'm kind of regretting doing that because they take a long time to cook. So I'm putting them on a few minutes before the fish gets out here. But yummy, yummy. So I turned off the touchscreen on the Sony because when I was trying to get the iPhone moved over, I accidentally touched the focus peak on it. Remember, I kept saying it was point focus. So now that it's off, we'll do a little vlogging test. I actually did a whole huge clip going in and out of light, and the Sony was just nothing but a constant blur. And I did go back to auto, program auto, because I don't know if priority aperture is where I want to be. I mean, it didn't look bad, but just for my own sake, I'm reading what the description is and just want to make sure. Probably not going to do side by side for the whole cooking of dinner. Maybe I will, I don't know. It's just a lot of work getting the audio to line up. But like I said, I'm running the Rode wireless me, and the iPhone audio is getting cut out in the end. I'm not worried about, I know audio is what it is. So that's what we're doing here. One other thing I noticed though is the iPhone, even though I was saying about the lenses being different distances apart, the iPhone seems like it's closer to me than the Sony does. Does that seem like it is? Even though that lens protrudes out, it feels like it's further away than the iPhone, at least from what I was editing. I know the iPhone does crop because of stabilization. Sorry, switching hands with this thing is tricky. A lot of weight there. But yeah. Stabilization was the only other thing I can really state about, and I've already talked about it so many times. But it's not as bad as I remember. Yeah, these are the little packs we got of cod and salmon, or cod, potato and herb. Cod fillets, potato and herb, so we're gonna give them a try. See how they cook up. Alright. Everything is on the grill, looking good. So one other downside I just came up with the Sony. If I wanted to share something to someone, I need to Wi-Fi it over to the iPhone. It does have its own Wi-Fi, but you can't share with it. Like, I can send the iPhone footage of this to Mike and make him jealous, but he never sends me anything when he cooks on the grill. He makes some really amazing stuff on his grill too. I think he does like I want to say an orange sesame chicken, he told me. It sounded really good. Alrighty, well, it's almost done, maybe 3 more minutes. So, yummy, yummy, yummy.
Yummy.
It does look yummy.
So they were $1.99 a piece.
Alright, one last puppy walk during, well, it's not quite sunset yet, but we'll see how this thing reacts to lower light. One last run for the night. Oh, I look up, go down, and I got a different dog. That was interesting. Well, I'm not too concerned about getting the last couple clips for dinner put together. I've got a system on how to get that lined up. I did clean the lens, but man, has it still got stuff on it. Pain in the butt. Could be pollen though from just the way the weather is out here. Cars are completely covered. There's no point in getting the car washed. Next day it's yellow again anyway, so. But basically what I do is I expand the audio size in Final Cut. You can do that in one of the menus that lets you change what's more prominent, the video or the audio file, and then kind of expand it out longer so I can see the dips and waves, and just kind of play with it back and forth a little bit. Come on guys, let's go, come on. And usually works out pretty good. But so yeah, the first part of the video is all done. It's a long one, sorry. It's going to be at least a 30-minute one probably. Pretty close. Well, tomorrow will be in a morning time. We'll be able to get a walk. Probably take a walk when I get home, and that'll be pretty much the day. As soon as I hit record, it did make an adjustment though. Just not sure about shutter priority versus auto program. Program auto is what it is. There's a sunset setting on here too, but yeah, it's really bright though. So, all right. Actually, it's aperture priority and shutter priority. I was using aperture earlier. Let's see what happens. I think this might actually help with the whole sky situation. It's staying kind of dark, but it's not too bad. And for a second there, I didn't think I put the mics on, but I did. What you looking at, buddy? That is one nice thing, though, having the zoom ability. One thing I really remember from early on with this was using the zoom a lot kind of drains the battery quicker. Makes sense, you're running another motor. But I don't know what happened with that first battery, because it was staying full for a while there, and all of a sudden then it just wasn't. So I'm not really sure why it did that, but well, it's alright. That's why you always have to have a spare. Battery number 2 is doing pretty good, but I haven't filmed as much, so. So I was trying to explain earlier that this is one of the areas where I felt like it was kind of falling out. Right now, with at least aperture priority, it's not doing it. It seems like it's making good corrections. I'm not like turning completely black on the screen. And of course with the sun behind me, that's going to be kind of blinding. Just trying a little different light situations with this thing. It's been so long since I've actually used it for a camera. Thing's been sitting in my bag for, well, it was actually in one of the containers in the closet. And then when Mike and I started hanging out, one of the trips up to Weiser, I brought it along but never pulled it out. I don't know. Files import way quicker than the iPhone, that's for sure. And the rendering was super fast. I couldn't believe how fast the thing rendered, even doing, you know, footage stacked, because that can take up some time, seriously. But so far, at least this seems to be working, and it's keeping some dynamic range in the sky as well. Yeah, I don't think shutter priority is what I want. I just thought I'd run it real quick, but I mean, everything's moving in slow motion. So I'm going to say no to that one. I wanted to test it real quick so I can manually adjust my shutter speed. The only problem is I don't know how. I wonder if that's on the ring. That's just in my f-stop. Holy shit. I didn't even know this did that. That's not what I want. Does anything on this one? I'm just kind of curious. Yeah, that changes the f-stop too. Doesn't seem to be doing anything on the screen, at least. And we'll bring that back down to 8. Never actually played with the ring. I just never really understood this camera. Mosey bye, little dog. Come on, Priya. I'm coming, Dad. I'm coming. Let's see, since we've done it with everything else. Where is it? And still not getting really close. Try to hold steady this time. But yeah, that's as far as she can go. I don't think that's much better than the iPhone or the freaking S23. And that reminds me of one more thing. There was an HX99 that came out that had a 700mm zoom, but it had the small sensor size. And this only had 200. So they could have gone bigger, and with the bigger image sensor, they could have probably got a pretty good shot. 700mm, 600 is the RX10. So that would have put you at like a freaking 1400 with a 2X on it. They could have really made this camera way better than they did. It's depressing that Sony gave up on it, but anything like else, you just don't want to, you know, something new is going to come out and replace it, but nothing ever did. Oh no, I take that back. Was it the Evo 1s or whatever? EV1? That is just a plastic version of an RX that doesn't have all the features? Yeah. Now, there are some clouds back in the distance there. Kind of see some of the coloring coming out in them. They may look pretty with the sun setting, but there's nothing with the sun. Can you come with us, dude? Sorry, I didn't mean to be zoomed in there. But yeah, the back this way, there's nothing. So it's going to be kind of a boring sunset. Come on, Priya. Ran into Bella. I was petting them both together, and they literally were nose to nose for a second, but Priya's like, I'm still not sure. I mean, it's a decent zoom, but it just doesn't feel like it gets anywhere. I mean, you're not getting right up on the subject. A couple birds in the trees there. So for nature photography, not really the best. You can't get super close to birds. I can see him with my eyes. There he is. Priya, do you want to do your business, please? She's like, nah, I'll wait till the bedroom. Oh crap, I never did that today. I should, well, tomorrow morning I'm off too, so get up in the morning, get all the puppy pads picked up and spray the bedroom really well. I could do it, maybe do it before bed if I'm just going to do that. All right, what do we see? What do we see? What do we see? I heard it running. Oh, it's the black cat. He's back in there far now. Probably the husky's friend. Come on, guys. Come on. Come on, kids. Alrighty, everybody. I'm going to call this a night. Thank you very much for watching. If you are new to the channel and you'd like to continue watching content, at least for the next month, because this is the final month of year 9, and I'm undecided on whether or not I'm going to do year 10. We'll see as we get closer. Right now I'm just kind of playing with different devices. Today was the RX100 Mark VII. Tomorrow we'll be back most likely to regular programming with the iPhone. I don't know, maybe we'll pull this out in the morning. We'll see. I mean, I feel like it didn't do too bad of a job. It's a little jittery, but some of the footage is actually quite smooth, so go figure. Definitely better than yesterday's video with the Ultra. S23 Ultra. Very disappointed in that performance with the coloring and everything, so is what it is. Thanks for watching. If you're new to the channel, subscribe, please. We're doing pretty good. We're up to like 626. I mean, it may have some impact if I start seeing people are actually subscribing to the channel. You know, year 10 would be, you know, definitely warranted more so than not getting any subscribers. So it's not the end of the world, but anywho, what I'm trying to say is good night.